Hi, ladies. Hey guys, it's Monday and I'm back with a somewhat different episode of Monday Coffee with the Doll. I was considering not doing it this week after an personal issue that had arose that had kind of taken me aback a little bit. But I decided that I would work through the emotion and make a video instead. So my kids just left and I'm sitting here talking to you guys, listening to all of the trees outside breaking and snapping because we had a pretty epic ice storm yesterday that covered everything in ice and everything's all heavy and breaking. So this week, after certain situations, I thought we could talk about poisonous relationships in general. I know that that's something you guys have asked me to talk about, so I thought that this week would be a good time to talk about it since it's something that I'm going through, and I know a lot of you are going through it as well. So I thought we would just kind of talk about relationships in general. I know I'm a girl, so I'll be kind of talking about it from my standpoint, but I've helped a lot of guy friends from the male perspective on their side. So, I mean, a lot of you know that I'm divorced, and a lot of you know, if you've been following me since day one on my page, that I didn't used to be divorced. I used to talk about my husband a lot, and over the past almost 2 years now, that changed, and a lot of you guys wanted to know what happened and where he went and why I wasn't talking about him anymore, to the point of that being one of the top searches on Google under my name. Recently, a really ugly person decided to very inappropriately kind of talk about my divorce in a YouTube video that I was made aware of, but didn't waste my time watching because I don't watch trash. I don't fill my life with trash, and I'm not going to start now, especially after I worked so hard to rid my life of trash. I'm not going to go backwards. So, I am divorced. I left a pretty abusive relationship. It was very poisonous. I try to be really careful about what I say about my relationship because I have children with this person. And as my children grow, they'll, themselves make their own decision about that side. But it's not something that I ever want to talk ill about. So in protection of them and respect of them and how they feel. But I also have a hard time not opening up about my situation and being honest about it because truth is the truth and I'm an honest person. So it's hard not just saying things, especially since I know so many of you have gone through it. And you guys know how honest and real I am with you in every situation in my life. Life is life, and whether or not you're somebody on Facebook or YouTube or a model or anything, life is still life, and things are gonna still affect you, and I'm not safe just because I'm internet famous, Life still attacks me like it does anybody else. So today I faced a pretty hurtful situation with this said ex, And it kind of reassures me every single time things come up that I made the right choice in my decision to, when I was told to get out, I did, and I didn't look back even when it got hard. In relationships are difficult and they're all different, but they're all very much the same. I mean, we all ultimately want the same thing. We all ultimately want a counterpoint, and we want somebody that understands us and respects us and loves us and cherishes us and wants the best for us. But we want somebody that does that for us so we can do it for them. And sometimes we get ourselves into relationships where only one side is willing to do that, and the other side just takes and they don't ever give back. And while they're taking, they're also destroying you as a person, and it becomes such an unhealthy, poisonous relationship that you're kind of just left a shell walking around. I kind of laugh at those pictures of the girlfriend, like you can see her and it's the picture of the boyfriend's hand and you see it from his perspective and she's standing in front of him pulling him along. It's that photo set that's been all over the internet. Well, I recently saw one that wasn't so positive. This is gonna sound mean, but it was the devil leading someone, and it kind of struck me and got my attention because it's kind of how my life was in my previous relationship. It was, you know, you're just getting drug along by this person and they dictate how you feel and they dictate your life, and you're constantly fighting and you're trying to justify the behavior and you're trying to make light of the behavior and make excuses for it, and you're trying to figure out a way to live through all of that and make it okay, when really all you're doing is being drug along by somebody who's manipulating every situation possible so they can continue to take from you. You know, they take and they take and they take, but they never give back, and then eventually you don't have anything left to give to them. You're just breathing. You're just a shell. And that's not a positive relationship. And I think a lot of people feel like, well, I mean, I love them and I'm willing to give them everything, which means ultimately it's going to be okay, but that's not the case. You get to the point where you need to realize that narcissists are going to do and say whatever they have to continue to get what they need out of you, and they don't care how you feel, they don't care what you want, they don't care if they're hurting you. It's really just what they want and what they can get out of it that they're focused on. So you're never going to change them. They're never going to care enough about you. They picked you because they knew you were ultimately going to love them through anything, but they're not going to return that. And relationships that are like that go from bad to worse really quick, and soon you find that you've been isolated from everybody that you know and love, and people that used to be your friend can't stand to be your friend anymore because they don't want to watch you hurt. And then you're standing there and you're that person. You're that person who everybody talks about and feels bad for and whispers about. And you're the person in the room that other people know things about that you don't know. And eventually you're going to reach that point where you want out, but you've been torn down so much that you don't think you can get out. And even if you do, what's the point? Because who's going to want you after that? who's going to think you're anything because you don't feel like you're anything anymore, because somebody absolutely stole the entire light of your being and all of your energy and all of your love. So you don't see much of yourself. So how could anybody else see much of you? And then you start finding things out that are even worse and even more hurtful, and they take even more from you, and you're just kind of left, you're like a little lost puppy. You know, you just want to go home, but home doesn't want you. Home doesn't want you. And you have to realize that sometimes you have to take control, and sometimes you have to give yourself a fresh start, and sometimes you have to be brave, and you have to let go, and you have to realize that there's some relationships you can't fix because they're not meant for you. You have to look at some relationships, no matter how long they are or how much you invested your time into them, they're literally just a section of your life that was building you up for something else. And that it wasn't your final destination, but it was a stepping stone to get to your final destination, what you're really meant for. There's some people out there that are never going to understand your full potential because they're intimidated by it. And they're scared of it. So they're going to try to suck it out of you and use it for themselves. But they're not going to know how to use it. There's going to be people who are scared of the possibilities that you hold in your life because they're never going to have them. There's people out there that are going to try and use you in every way possible to give their life substance because they can't find it for themselves. There's people out there that are going to use you because you have every chance in the world and you're everything that they aren't. So if they have you, then that means they have that. But that doesn't mean they're going to appreciate it and treat it with the value that it deserves. So you have to be the one that steps away from that and realizes that your life is worth being loved and appreciated by a counterpoint that will do that and will return what you give them. Because what you have to understand is that some people aren't going to change for you. It's not what people are about. It's not how we're created. We're not created to change just to be somebody's boyfriend or girlfriend. And it doesn't matter how much you love somebody, they're not going to change just to make you happy. Especially if their entire point is to use what you have to make themselves better. What I've discovered in leaving my past relationship, and there's so much I could say. There's so much I could say that would shock you guys and make you cry and make you go, oh my God. And I've opened up to a few people who've come to me for help, and they're like, what do I do? And I just say, this is what I went through, and now I'm here. And they're like, how are you even functioning? How are you even on your feet? Sometimes I don't know. I remember when I went through a phase thinking, oh my God, I'm never gonna make it. I just wanna crawl into a hole and pull the dirt over my head. But then I looked at my kids and I was like, somebody's gotta fight for them. And that's me. My life is their life. And then I realized it's okay. It's okay to want to live for myself and make myself happy. And what I've learned is that you can't have a healthy relationship until you're secure in yourself. You really have to love life and love who you are. Life isn't always about intimate relationships and having a boyfriend and having a girlfriend. I mean, sure, we all ultimately want love and we want somebody to spend our life with, but you're never going to be able to find somebody and spend your life with them in the way that it's supposed to be until you can love life for yourself. Love yourself and live for yourself. Find yourself. Be yourself. Embrace yourself. And then when somebody comes along, if they're not the one, it's going to be easy for you to say you're not for me and continue on down the road without being a broken person afterwards. But then if you come across the person that you are meant to be with, it's going to be that much easier to figure out. So, relationships are hard. But I can definitely say now, I used to be the girl who thought that all of those chick flicks and all of those sappy love songs were just bullshit. That it wasn't real. That it wasn't meant for my life. That it was all just an illusion created by movies and things to make money off sappy people who lack that in their life, so they pour money and themselves into it, realizing they're never going to have it. But I can honestly say now that I know it exists. And that if you can break yourself away from that poisonous relationship that's completely draining everything that you are, and really love yourself and live for yourself, you're going to find that person. They're out there. When you find them, it's going to be the most amazing thing you've ever experienced. And you're going to look back at the past relationships that you've had and you're going to say, dear God, who was I? Why did I ever cry over that? Why did I ever care? Why did I ever let it hurt me? It wasn't meant for me. I was always meant for something better. Nobody's meant for poisonous, unhealthy relationships that depress them and destroy who they are. Everybody deserves love. Everybody deserves having somebody say things to them that they've always wanted, but they never told anybody. Everybody wants that somebody that feeds that sappy romance novel growing inside of them, whether you're a guy or a girl. I left an abusive relationship and I found who I was, and I found my counterpoint in this world. I found my partner and my teammate. And it's possible for everybody. It's just scary to do. But you have to stop saying, I can't, and start doing. If you can do that, you're going to be a lot happier. Because life is beautiful. Life is amazing. And living it every single day dying inside is not worth it. You'll miss a million things that are meant for you. Never let somebody dictate your destiny. Especially when they don't love you or care about you. You're not a tool to make somebody's life better. You're a person. You deserve to be treated like one. So, you're in control of the days that feel you're weak. You're in control of the people who you let in to make your weeks amazing. Don't let anybody come into your life that's just going to tear you down. It's not worth it. So I love your faces. This has been a very interesting episode of Monday Coffee with the Doll. But this is how I'm feeling right now. So I'm sharing it with you, just like I share everything else in my life. Because I'm a normal person with normal emotions, normal problems, walking them out every day. So until next week.